Hey, John Crestani here, standing for freedom and family. And are you tired of making money mistakes that leave you counting pennies at the end of the month and just wondering where everything went? Well, you're in the right place, because today I'm gonna go into 20 different money mistakes that you should be avoiding, especially in your 20s, right? Coming from a former 20-something-year-old, right? So whether you're starting your journey into adulthood or whether you're like a seasoned 20-year-old, you're like 29, you're basically 30, right? This video is gonna be packed with a lot of insights to help you through the financial jungle of your 20s, so let us begin, right? So the first big mistake is, it's an easy one, overspending, right? Just spending more than you earn. This will always leave you trying to fill a leaky bucket. I know this sounds really simple, but don't spend like there's no tomorrow. Spend it, I was making $100,000 a month, and I was still spending more than I earned because I just kept increasing my lifestyle to keep up with my salary. And the reality is, being frugal is the way to become rich. Maybe it means cooking at home. Maybe it means not going out to the most expensive restaurant you can afford. Maybe it doesn't mean putting all of your savings into that concert or trip, right? Just live as frugally as possible. And I have other video on living frugal. Now, while that's simplistic, the really getting closer to things is mistake number 2 is ignoring the money trail, right? And that goes back to just visibility. What you measure is what you manage. And if you're not looking at your bank account every single day, then you're not going to know how much you're spending. You're not going to know how much you have saved, right? Don't be a money ghost. You should keep tabs on your money every single day. The more you watch your bank account, the more you will save and the more you will be able to just be rich, right, eventually. Now, the third money mistake is what I call like having no goal and just kind of wandering in this world of money, right? If you do not have specific goals, it's gonna be hard to know where you're heading. If you get in a taxi, an Uber, or a Lyft, and you don't give the taxi driver a destination, you're not gonna go anywhere. So the most important thing is have a goal. Everybody's dream is as unique as how unique every person is. Write down your goal. Put it in the comments right now. What is your monthly income goal? What is your yearly income goal? Whatever it is, what is your hourly goal? Whatever that is, write it down, get it down there, and create a plan to get there. Now, the fourth money mistake is credit card overload, right? Don't overuse credit cards. If you're reliant on credit cards, that's a bad thing. Yes, it's good to use credit cards to do some purchases, to build that credit and financial history with this capitalist system. But for most purchases, you should be using a debit card or cash or something like that, because you don't want to become reliant on just being able to spend with a credit card. I did that, right? I had an insane limit, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'd say, I want a new car today, right? I'm sure you've seen me in Lamborghinis, pictures of all these videos of me in my 20s. I just spend, right? I got a limit, I'd make it back. It's not a good look. Oh my God, I've made all of these mistakes, guys, but here's another money mistake. This is mistake number 5, is having no emergency cushion. And the reality is, an emergency will come up, depending on how your life is, once every 3 months or once every month. Seriously, how often do emergencies come up for you? I'd love to hear you posting in the comments. An emergency meaning something that you have to do a big outlay of cash for. Life is just full of surprises, whether it's, you have a medical issue, you get sick and you have to pay for some expensive doctor, or whether it's your car got rear-ended and you have to pay for some, insane amount of money. Just the last week, I had to pay an extra $14,000 for some damage that was done to my car that basically I caused, right? But that's an example of, if you don't have an emergency cushion, you won't be able to afford these emergencies in life, and they happen all the time. Let me know in the comments how often they happen in your life. Now, money mistake number 6 is self-deception, is just simply lying to yourself, really, about your finances, ignoring debt and just hoping if you don't pay taxes or you ignore the debt that the student loans, the payments and something, that it'll just eventually go away. Okay, you gotta face it head on. I have so many friends who didn't face their debt for years, and they ended up having to either move out of the country of the United States, they ended up completely broke, and owing the government an unbelievable amount of money and having the government take their money, or they ended up committing suicide. So don't ignore your debt, okay? Real story. Now, the seventh money mistake to avoid is wasting your free time, right? Have you ever heard of the term side hustle, right? It's a cool way to make extra money on your free time and your side time doing something that you love. Now, if you're crafty and you like doing art stuff, go on Etsy, sell stuff. If you're good at like figuring out like what are valuable like baseball cards or coins, like go to garage sales and buy stuff and sell it on eBay. Right? You could turn your hobbies into money-making projects. So just use your spare time to boost your savings. It's just a great thing, right? Or drive for Uber or Lyft, if that brings you some extra dollars. Now, money mistake number 8 is delaying retirement savings. I remember when I was your age, back in the day when I was a 20-something-year-old, I said, why do I have to save for when I'm 65, man? Like, I'm living the dream, that's so long away, that's way long in the future, I don't need to worry about that. Wrong, okay? There's a word called compounding interest, okay? Compounding interest. The money you put into your retirement when you are in your 20s is going to exponentially increase by the time you're 65. The money you put in today, if you put in $10,000 today, that is worth, when you're 25, that is worth something like, $120,000 when you are in, 60, right? Every dollar you put in is worth exponentially more money. So put in small amounts. And more important than even putting in money to your retirement is getting into the habit of saving money, of hoarding it for yourself, and you will truly become rich. Now, mistake number 9 is playing life too safe, okay? When you're in your 20s, you have the highest risk tolerance possible. Take big risks. Take a few big calculated risks. Think of them as thrilling adventures. Go to that, spend, like I remember when I was in my 20s, I spent $20-some thousand on a Tony Robbins seminar. $20-some thousand to go to these seminars, where like guys are speaking and like helping you like change your mind, get rid of your thought patterns, right? What the heck? That's a lot of money, right? In your 20s. Take those few big calculated risks that can potentially pay off 10x, 100x. Yeah, as you get older, you can't take those risks, right? I have like kids, I have like 2 wives now. Like I'm supporting all these freaking people. I can't take the biggest risks anymore. I have to keep, everything like somewhat stable, right? Now, the 10th money mistake we're going to talk about is getting out of control costs for college. Don't do this. And I was fortunate because I never got into debt going to college. I went to a cheap community college. I went to night classes and I worked during the day. So what I made more money. I made enough money to pay off my college. My college was like $8,000 a year, and I made more than that, working as like a waiter and working as a bartender and selling my body to the medical companies and stuff like that. Right? Those are whole other stories. How I was a medical guinea pig and all this other stuff. I sold study guides. You can read about my story some other place. So money mistake number 11 is what I call debt confusion, right? You start doing what I call the Avalanche method, thinking that, you owe some money to student loans and, they're like threatening you. So you use your credit card, right? You use your credit card to pay off your student loans. So now you just transfer debt to another place, right? And you keep using debt to create more debt, and you have all these interest payments, and it actually creates a cascading effect of out of control death spiral of debt. And my friend who committed suicide, his name was Danilo. He was a very close friend. He did so because he got in a debt avalanche. He had clients, you know, he owed money to his clients, and he started, you know, he used credit cards at first, and then he couldn't pay off his credit cards, so he went to the mafia. I'm not even joking. Like, he went to the frickin' mafia, and he was like owed debt to them. He ended up killing himself because he was scared the mafia was going to kill him. Real stuff. But he was in a debt spiral, and the last creditor he could get money from, because he had no credit or anything, was from the mafia. Seriously. So money mistake number 12. And I actually relate this to like not eating right, not sleeping right, not, you know, being healthy, is using debt to buy, you know, is using debt to buy luxuries. You know, we've all seen like, oh, you can finance a TV now, right? You want like the big like 80-inch TV, and you only have to pay $35 a month. You want that you know, $5,000 mattress. Well, that's only an extra $40 a month. And you know, you want a car, oh, that's only a couple $100 a month, right? So you start stacking all these luxuries that, you know, when you could really just borrow a mattress or a futon or sleep on a couch or ask a friend or find an old, you know, something cheap, right? But you start stacking these luxury debts, and suddenly, again, you're helping yourself facilitate those debt spirals. Better to just get a cheap mattress. Now, money mistake number 13 is just pure mindless spending. And we oftentimes do this when we're feeling like emotionally insecure, like something triggers our emotions and we're being like mentally weak about it, and we just want to spend money. Some people do it compulsively, like they're angry, you know, at their boyfriend or their girlfriend. They just go like and just buy a bunch of shit, right? You know, how many of you have like when you get emotional, like angry or sad about something, do you just spend money? You know, or go out and get expensive haircuts. You're like, oh, like I'm sad, like I deserve like a really expensive meal or like a vacation, right? How many folks do this where they're just, I call it mindless spending because of something what we call triune brain theory. You know, our conscious brain is here up front, our logical brain. Our emotional brain is right back here, and our lizard brain, which is fight, flight, or is back in the stem of our brain. And if you're mindlessly spending, you're thinking from your emotional part of your brain, you're not thinking logically. So, you know, resisting that compulsive urge to spend when you are in an emotional state is extremely important. And the first part of that is recognizing that you are in an emotional state and putting a pause, you know. We do our worst things when we're in an emotional state of being. We make a lot of mistakes. We can ruin relationships. We can spend too much money. We can, you know, stuff like that. You understand. 14 is not having renter's insurance. Now, this might sound like, oh, isn't that just an extra expense? But in fact, it's a safety net. Insurance is actually a good expense. I was recently at my entrepreneurs meeting. I have this group of guys I meet with every month, and they all run businesses that do above $10 million a year. And I showed them my profit and loss statements, and they said, you're not paying enough money to insurance because you need that safety net in case stuff really gets effed up and goes wrong. When bad stuff happens. You know, for instance, my house burned down. I don't know if you see this, you know, the house, can you swivel it a little bit? Brain, can you just like swivel? Yeah. But basically, my house burned down 2 months after I bought it. And if I hadn't had insurance, it would have been really devastating because I paid like, you know, in the 7 figures range for the house, and I would have been left with, you know, just a piece of charcoal. But I was able to get the insurance companies to pay me millions and millions of dollars so that I could rebuild my house, you know, and, you know, otherwise I would have lost millions and millions of dollars. So insurance is a good safety net, okay? And the same thing goes, right? We talked about renter's insurance. The same thing goes for health insurance, okay? And in fact, there are so many ways, there are people who abuse these insurance systems, but the point is, you can get a lot of, if you really take a time to understand how insurance works and how you can get paid out on claims, you can make a good amount of money. There are people who make millions, actually. So, I don't know, it's one of those things. It's part of the money game, okay? Now, the next thing is mistake number 16, which is a good one, is talking about money with your partner. Okay, now a lot of folks, especially folks like, come from the Midwest and whatnot, are very cautious about talking about money. You don't want to seem too imposing on folks and whatnot. And, it seems like don't talk about that subject. But in fact, if you're not talking about money, if you're avoiding it, you're probably not going to make as much of it. And having money discussions with your partner about what your goals are, what your financial goals are, what your safety net goals are, what your income goals are, what your assets goals are, is really good, and how you guys can move towards it. Because if you care about money, you're going to talk about it. And not enough, so many young people in their 20s just completely avoid the subject, and you're not going to be rich, right? And finally, money mistake, big money mistake, number 17 is what I call baby steps without a money plan. So let's talk about starting a family. Family is the ultimate thing you can create. It's the ultimate thing. It's, we all have the power of God or whatever you believe in to create new life and live forever. It's the only way we can live forever, and it's actually, the only true goal we can actually affirmatively say, what's the goal of life? It's to create more life, right? It's the only thing that you can actually, if you're getting into existential stuff or whatever. But with starting a family, the price is, you need to be able to budget for that. How much money do you need for a kid? Now, according to some magazine, you need $18,000 a year for a kid, to send them to school and buy groceries and all that stuff. Well, you should start saving money. And again, if you want to take part in the most amazing miracle of life, that is creating more life, which is better than any business you can ever do, you need to think about it. You need to plan for it. You need to budget for it. Again, that should be part of the money for your safety net. You want to have a safety net. So you should be saving for it, because everyone's goal should be to have a family. And if that's not your goal, I don't know, you're selfish. That's cool. I wouldn't want to work with you, but that's great. Right? You do you. Everybody should do their own thing. So, having a family is more than about money. It's about having a financial plan, and this way you don't have to worry so much, and you can enjoy parenthood more. Now, I wanted to play a little clip for you from a YouTuber I really respect, which is Alex Hormozi, that also explains sort of the same thing that we mentioned right here in our video. And check this clip out.
You probably aren't ballin'. And the amount of people on Instagram I see with their check mark that they bought in front of a Lambo that they whatever, we all get it. They're full of shit. We understand. The people who matter are not impressed.
Okay, well, dudes, if you found this video super helpful and you want more awesome content to level up your financial game, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to subscribe, don't just subscribe. You have to hit the notification bell as well. And by subscribing, you'll be in the loop for more practical tips, tricks, and advice to rock your financial future. Now, if you want to go deeper with me and you want to learn how I've been able to make over $25 million with my internet business, none of this is YouTube related, right? This is purely just, I run an internet business. I haven't done YouTube videos for years. Then make sure you go to the link somewhere in the description and learn more about my mentorship program. We work with some people there. We help change and transform lives, right? It's second after creating life, it's just as fun for me to help change lives from destitute to making tons of money. So you can learn more about that in the description. John Crestani here. Great seeing you. Love you all. Let's go. Let's make some money. Let's get our stuff set, and let's live forever. Create a legacy, create a dynasty, and just own life. Let's go.